Hello everybody, I hope you are all well. Can't believe October, here we are. So let's crack on. So I was thinking about what to do. So we had our calm week last week and I thought, right, we need a bit of zhuzh colour this week. So I'm using as my base a piece of paper because we're going to do a spider's wheel this week. And I really enjoyed stitching on the paper when we did it in week 25. So I thought, oh, I quite like a paper flag maybe this week. And then I've pulled out some colours. So I've got some Liberty fabric and a little bit of a Calf Facet selvage edge that's got some really, really nice colours. I love the dots, the numbers, the colour registrations on there. So I've done that, and then I've just pulled out some of my sheepies threads. And you're going to need a little bit of paper for a template, a pokey thingy. You haven't got a pokey thingy, you could just use a needle or anything like that. The only reason that I'm doing a template is it just makes my life a little bit easier. So for the spider's wheel, what you're going to want to do, I'm going to do 3 different sizes. So I've drawn 3 different circles, and then on the bigger ones I've done a little dot like a clock all the way around, and then on the smallest one I've just done 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 dots, and you need a dot in the middle. So that's just a piece of paper that I've drawn a circle and then just poked some holes through. It just gives me a bit of a plan to be able to put it onto my flag. So I need to attach my bits of fabric first, so I'm just going to use the old glue stick method. So I'm going to run it down the side. So I want to try and match up if I can. Quite like the colour registration. Maybe try and find some fabrics if you can, or just go for anything at all. Don't panic if you haven't got exactly what I'm using. Just go with whatever you happen to have in your stash. Ooh, quite like that. Ooh, oh, love it. Accidental planning. Love accidental planning. It's most of my life. There we go. So I'm just making a background just with a bit of fabric. Quite like that. And then I was going to put my little number strip. Oh, oh, oh. I don't tend to like things down the middle, but oh, then I can offset those. Right, let's go with that then. So it goes up to number 4. So if I trim off number 1 and 2. So if I do that like that, up the middle. So run some glue on that bit. So I hope everybody is well. I hope you all enjoyed last week's little breather. I hope you'll forgive me for my cheat week last week. We all need a cheat week every now and again. Well, it wasn't really a cheat week, it was just I'd got a bit excited about sitting and stitching, and I knew I'd got a little bit of time just to be able to do a bit of stitching, so I got a little bit carried away. There's nothing wrong with that. There we go. Right, there we go. So I've prepped my background. I quite like that. Right, we're off. So I've got my little template, so I'm going to lay that. So I'm offsetting this, and then I just need my little pokey tool, and then just go through the holes that you've already prepared. These are just really handy to have then when you've got them actually in your kit, because even though you can't poke the holes through fabric, when it comes to working on fabric you can just do like with a vanishing marker or a friction pen, you'll be able to do dots through, so then you can see them. Okay, so we've got my dots, liking that. Pop that to one side, Put the top on that, health and safety, make sure we're always right. So I love it when you actually look. I really like the fact that we've done these, well I have anyway, done them double-sided, because you sort of revisit the ones that you did before. I love this one. It's quite interesting how it was colourful there and I've gone colourful again. I don't know, it was meant to be. So what we want to do, we're going to do a wrapped spider's web. So if you've done the Yorkshire buttons, it's practically the same stitch, but we're just working flat. So my first colour is the lilac. So I'll go with the bigger one. So you want quite a length of thread, especially with the longer, the bigger circles. And what you want to do, she says, doesn't want to go through the hole, there we go, is you want to create your spokes. So you always make sure that you're going across the middle. So I've gone from 12 to 6, 5 to 11, 10 to 4, 3 and 9. So I just keep working my way around, either clockwise or anti-clockwise, it doesn't really matter. And just get your tension, oh that's not gone across the middle, just get your tension, so it's fairly tight, but it's not so tight that it's distorted your piece of paper. Now obviously I'm doing this on paper, you don't have to. If you want to do this on a piece of fabric, please feel free to do it on a piece of fabric. Okay, so, oh, let me pull the blind down. The sun has decided, oh, there we go, to make its way around. I always find this really weird, I end up sitting in the dark, just busy working. Right then, so you've got your hole in the middle, so you're going to come up through that hole in the middle, just come up between one of your spokes, and then all you do is where you've come up, I'm going to go anti-clockwise, so all you do is go back one thread under the next one. So I've come out of this one here, so go back one, under one. So we've done this before, back one, under one. And all you want to do is just give it a little tug, because you want these first wrapped stitches to be in the middle. So just pull it with a tiny little tug. So this is a lot easier if you do it with a blunt needle. It's a bit easier on paper as well, because one of the problems that you have if you're doing it on fabric is you could catch the fabric and you don't want to go through the threads. So just back one, under one. I quite like stitching into paper. I've really gotten into it. I've got a new workshop that I've planned for next year based on paper. It's one of the first things that I started stitching into when I first started doing all my own work. Because I've got an art background rather than a textile background, as in that's what I did my degree in, even though it was a bit of mixed media and I did 3D and ICT and all those different sorts of things, textiles really didn't focus very much. So once I started doing some stitching, I stitched into paper. It just seemed fairly logical. I was surprised how well paper took machine stitch, hand stitch, especially if you're working with, which I did, lots of wallpapers and handmade papers and slightly thicker papers. Sometimes if you're stitching into a paper, you need to have a like a base, like interfacing or something like that, especially if you're working with slightly delicate papers. It just works. I don't know. I just think, oh, I don't know. I just like paper. Ooh, just created a big knot then. There we go. I've got something dark in there. I don't know what that is. Come on, out you come. Must have picked up a bit of fluff. There we go. Back one, under one. So the technique is the same. Wherever you've come out on your spoke, you go back one and under the next one. So what you're doing is you're wrapping the thread around the spokes. So it's just like we did with the Yorkshire buttons. It's just rather than turning it into a button, we're doing it as a stitch on a flat surface. So I've decided I'm just going to do 3 and do 3 different sizes. I've chosen 3 colours. I might add some extra stitching maybe, I don't know. I'll see what it looks like when I've got all of them done. Now if you got to a stage where you were like, oh blimey, I've run out of thread and I need to add some more thread, all you would do is when you've done a stitch is go over and go through to the back. So punch a hole through and go through to the back and tie it off, and then come back up that hole with a new thread, and then just carry on the way that you've been going. Oops. But I've got myself quite a long thread, which is a bit of a pain when you first start, but I'm hoping it'll take me right through to the end. Now there's different things that you could do with this. You might decide to have your spokes a different colour to the wrapping, and you might decide to get part way and think, oh actually, do you know what, I'm going to leave that, so I could have had a contrasting colour there and then a different colour on here. So you could have stopped part way through. You could go so far with one colour thread and change your thread and add another colour in. I was going to do it with a variegated thread, because when I got my colours out, I've got a ball of a really yummy, I was given this by a friend, variegated wool, and I thought, oh, those colours really match. But when I actually pulled the wools out, the colour changes are quite wide, quite far apart, and I thought, oh, I don't think you're actually going to get the benefit of that colour changing. Sometimes you're better with the variegated embroidery threads, the colours change quicker on those, whereas the yarns, they don't change as often, because obviously you're knitting, so you want a larger area of each colour. So just a case of going round and round and round and round and round and round in circles. So what I might do is I might do this one and the bottom one as a full little web, and then the one in the middle I might do as a partial thread. Partial web. I need to put my teeth in. So I know some people are new to the flags. If you are, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. It's all very exciting. So you can either start here and just carry on to the end, or you can go right the way back to the start of the year, do a bit of catch up. I know some people have managed to stay 100% up to date. Well done. And I know there are quite a few that are not up to date, but there's no pressure. That's one of the things that I wanted to do with this particular way of doing the project. The fact that you've got all the videos all in one place, it just means you can jump backwards and forwards with different things and just try different techniques and things like that. One of the things that I am going to be adding to the Ko-fi page was this year over on my YouTube I did a tag roulette. So the idea with that was the fact that I chose, each month I chose 3 numbers randomly that related to 3 of the tags that we did last year, and then we've been creating a bigger piece, just one piece of work. Then you had to include the 3 techniques each month. I don't know if you've been stitching along, but what I decided to do was, leading up to, I think I can say the C word now that we're in October, leading up to Christmas, I thought I'd put one on each week. So the 12 weeks leading up to Christmas, there's going to be the link to the tag roulette videos. So if you fancy another project because you've got nothing else to do, there's just going to be a weekly video that's going to appear at 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening. It also means as well that you don't have to be going backwards and forwards between Ko-fi and YouTube. You've just got access to them all in one place. Right, so you need to be careful as you get to the edge, because what you don't want to do is rip the paper, but you do want your stitching to go right to the very, very edge. It looks like I had second guessed my thread length with this one. There we go. Right, so when you're finished and you've got to the edge, got your spider's wheel, all you do is go back down the hole that you're in and then tie it off at the back. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this colour to make the spokes of my next one. So same thing again. Oops. Making sure that you're going across the middle. So it just makes it so much easier if you've got your holes already poked through. Because one of the things that's quite hard to do with paper obviously is work out where your needle is at the back, because normally when you're working with fabric you can just run the point of your needle at the back and you can sort of see where it needs to come through. Okay, right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie this off at the back. So tying it off, just go underneath one of your little threads, create a loop and go through your loop. There we go. Trim that off. Right, get my next colour. I had already threaded it up, but this needle's playing nicely. Okay, so I've got my next colour. So it's exactly the same thing again. I'm going to come up the middle, just see which spoke it comes out of. Just make sure it is a spoke and not through the thread. Yep, there we go. So start it off again. Wherever that thread has come out, I'm going to go that way round. So I go clockwise and then anti-clockwise. So I've gone back one, under two. And then just pull it and just get that first one right in the middle. Just come out of this one here. So it's out of that one. Back one, under two. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm not going to go right the way to the outside. I'm just going to do a mini one in the middle. Oops. So this first time going around, just worth just spending that little bit of time just getting it in the middle, neat as you can. Oops. Once you've gone round once, you've got something just to pull that thread. So I always tend to get my thread and pull it in that direction, and it just pulls that little wrapped stitch right into the middle. Can't believe it's October. The year is just flying by. They're also going to have information coming out this month about next year's challenges. So the 52 challenge and the stitching hour. Obviously at the moment we know that the world's in a very, very strange predicament with everything, so I'm really pleased to say that I'm not going to be increasing any of the subscription prices. so they're still going to stay the same for next year. So obviously if you're watching this and you want to still continue to take part, you don't need to do anything. If you decided to leave us, I'd be really, really sad to see people go. But you can manage your subscriptions on your Ko-fi page. I can't do anything about people's subscriptions. You have to be able to do that yourself. The only thing that I will say is when you do cancel your subscription, you won't get access to any of the content at all. It's just the way Ko-fi works. It's not like you just get access to everything that you've been a member for, so I'm really sorry about that. But that's just the way the Ko-fi site works, is that once you stop subscribing, you don't get access again. Okay, right, so I'm going to leave that one as a partial one done. So all I'm going to do, actually I'm going to poke it through first with that because I've got a blunt needle. There we go, make my life a bit easier. Poked a little hole, just take that through. So I'm going to leave that one as a partially done one. Then move on to the next one. Use this again to create my spokes. So this one, once it gets smaller, obviously you can't fit in as many holes because with the paper it'll end up ripping and you'll just end up with a big hole because it'll just all fall to pieces. There we go. Tie that one off, and then I shall just pick up my yellow and do my last one. Oh. Done this a bit quicker than I thought. Right, again, I'm going to change my needle. Definitely a blunt needle is the way to go with this. There we go. So again, up the middle, and then look at the spoke that you've come out on and go back one, under one. Sound like a robot. Back one, under one, back one, under one. So this one shouldn't take as long because it's just a little diddly one. So you could add as many as you wanted to. I've just gone for 3. I like things in odd numbers, but you could do clusters of them. You could do loads if you wanted to. You might want to put, I don't know, you could cut circles out of paper and have like little borders that go around the edge of them. The possibilities are endless once you start thinking about it. So this one, just make sure you're getting them all nice and tight because it's not going to be that many goes round until it's finished. Go. I just think it's nice as well because it sort of lifts off the surface, so it becomes a little bit more three-dimensional. One of the things that you can do is when you do your spokes, if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of stuff in underneath. It makes it a bit harder to do the wrapping round because you've tendency to catch it, but you could go so far, and then because this isn't attached, you can lift it up and pop something underneath it. You could do all these on separate bits of card and then glue them onto a background or attach them onto a background. I'm sure that when I have a look at all the ones that have been shared, I'm sure there'll be loads of things that people will do that I hadn't even thought about. I do love this as a technique, as a stitch. I think it is delightful. So nice, apart from when it gets in a knot. There we go. So to the very, very edge. You can do woven ones as well. If you want to do a woven one, you need an odd number of spikes. But I just like these wrapped ones. I just think they're so nice. I think that's not going to go any further. Take that one through to the back. Now I could, if I wanted to, I could come back into this one and add a little bit of yellow. So then that's got all three colours on it. Let's go for it. So I'll go back up. Oh no, it's not the middle. Back up where that one came down. That's it. Then do back and under. I might just go around once. Just add a little band of yellow. So I quite like the spokes being left out as well. There we go, back to the beginning. Oops. Go. Oh yeah, it's a little bit of yellow around that edge. That's kind of cute. So there we have it, Flag 40. I think what I'll probably do, because I've gone for loads of bright colours, I might have a look what beads I've got and make maybe a little tassel to dangle down off the flag. But there we have it, nice bright coloured one. Oh, threads everywhere. So there we go, spider's wheel, inspired by colours from a particular piece of fabric. Go to town with it, try anything you want to do, see what you've got, and I will catch up with everybody next week. Love and hugs everybody, and happy stitching. Mwah.